It's time to practice layer editing, color matching, and shadow creation in our little Easter project. Now we have a lot to do, so let's jump into Luminar NEO and start right now. Okay, so on that note, we're gonna move into Luminar NEO, where we're gonna start in the catalog module, as usual, by looking at our sample files. Now, quick reminder here, if you want to follow me along and do the edit on your own computer, make sure that you jump into the description of this video, follow the link, download the sample files, and import them into Luminar NEO. Now, what do we have? Well, we have the bottom image, the base layer. Then we have the overlay image of the rabbit, which will help us tremendously in a few moments. We also have a glow overlay, and we have this capture of the boy and also this cat here. And that's what we're going to need. Now, the first thing we need to do is to select the photo with the rabbit, the base layer, and bring it into Edit module. In the Edit module, we're going to be adding our elements, so we're going to be focusing on our layers panel. Here we're going to click on plus sign and click on Load Image or Add Image. Here, navigate towards the sample files, and inside you can see the elements I just described. So let's add them in. We're going to add our top layer, click on it and click Open. Then again, Load Image, select the boy, click on Open. One more time, Load Image, the cat, and for the final time, Load Image and add the light overlay. Now, adding the different layers, let's start with the bunny. So we're just going to select him, and in a few seconds, it will appear on our layers panel. So now we have the base layer and the top layer. And now we're going to be adding the different elements in between them. So let's go back, plus sign, we're going to select the boy. Now, once the layer with the boy appear, you can see that it's a little bit distorted. Now, how to fix this? It's really simple. Make sure you still have it selected, then navigate into layer properties and select fit. Just like that, it's done, sorted, and he's back to its normal. Now, of course, that we can increase the opacity to 100 and position him where we want him. However, as I mentioned, we will be placing these elements between our overlay and top layer. So, just like that. Now, that is telling us that our top layer has an adjusted opacity because we can see through him. So we need to select our bunny, increase the opacity to 100, and now the boy is behind. So let's select the boy again and adjust his position. So you can just drag him around using the mouse. Then you see the white dots. You can use them to adjust the size. And when you hover outside, you can also rotate him. Now, let's just very quickly position him where we think. So I'm thinking somewhere around here. Let's make the image a little bit bigger, maybe even more actually, just somewhere around here. Rotate him even further. And let's say that we're going to place him, somewhere around here. Now, looking at the photo, you can see that the light is coming from this direction. It's shining from here, right? There is a little highlight here. And looking at our boy, not our rabbit, looking at our boy, you can see that the light is coming from here, from this direction. So we need to adjust the image very easily by going back to layer properties, again, making sure that we have the boy selected and using the flip horizontally option. Just like magic, we now have the light coming from here, so we can return to our edit. There is another reason why we did that, also because you can see that the cutout has a little bit of that bright glow, and by placing it over the sky, you won't be able to see it. So now we're gonna do the final positioning, I think probably somewhere around here. So we have the boy on. Now it's time to add the kitty. To do that, again, back to our layers panel, click on the plus sign and select the cat. Now again, it will take a few seconds, he will appear. You're going to adjust the distortion using the fit option. And again, we need to adjust his size. With the size adjusted, we can increase the opacity. And I guess the first thing we need to do is to remove the background. Now to do that, still the layer selected. So we can go into layer properties, select masking, and in masking, we're going to go all the way to the bottom where we're going to choose the background removal. Background removal or portrait removal would be the option we would also use for the boy, so it would work exactly the same. However, to speed up the process, we will only apply it to the cat. Now, depending on the quality of the image, so the resolution, depending on the contrast of the subject and background and the details, that's how good result or job it's going to give you. In our case, it's a high resolution capture of the cat. It has a great contrast between the black and white, so you can see that it did very good job. Now, once you're happy, you just click on remove, and that will basically remove the background. If you feel that you want to make some adjustments, you can always click on refinements, brush, and here adjust the masks. Now, just very quickly, I have a multiple tutorials on this. The orange color represents the objects. So it's not precise, but basically it just highlights the area of the subject you want to keep in the image. Then we have the blue color. Those are the areas that are considered as background, and those are the areas you want to remove. And then in between, there is the transparent zone, what a word, transparent zone, which basically indicates the edge between the object and the background. And you can adjust them with the brush, just switching between transition, object, and background. You can adjust the size and play around with it, but for our project, it works quite well. So we're just gonna go back, and our cut is ready. Now it has the slight white glow there, but we will adjust that a little bit later. So again, just like with the boy, we need to adjust the cat's position. Now the sun is coming, or the light is coming from here, so that's good. So let's go ahead and again, back to layer properties, drag it under the bunny. Now rotate the cat to make it look like he's poking from behind the bunny. And this way we can kind of make it look like he's sitting behind too. You can position the cat wherever you want. I think for me, probably just somewhere around here. So that is done. We have the image nicely layered and positioned. We have the bunny in front with a boy and with a cat. But of course, there is more to it. We need to blend it together to make it work and make it look good. So the first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna color match the boy with the rest of the photo. Now there is a very advanced way to do this using curves and gray layers, but luckily here in Luminar NEO, now we have a tool that is called color transfer, and we can use that. So select the boy, head to main editing toolbar, and let's go down to creative section. Here, the second tool is called color transfer. So select it, and we're gonna first pick our reference image. Now there are some previews here or sample images. However, what we want is our original photo. We want to color match the boy with the rest of the image. So I already have it here, but what you would do, you would click on plus sign, navigate towards the sample files, select the base layer, the base image, and click on open. So I'm just going to select it here, and this will give the application command to go and match the boy. Now this looks terrible, right? I mean, he's way too saturated and way too dark, but don't worry, we're not finished at all. We're going to go into the tool where first we're going to adjust our color intensity. So bring it down just somewhere around 20 to start. And then of course the luminosity intensity. So 100 is way too much, bring it down. And I think probably looking at it somewhere around 40 looks quite right. After this, back into color, if you want to adjust it, obviously we don't want it that red, so we just want to be realistic. So I think probably somewhere around, let's see, 15? Yeah, let's go for 15. And actually bring the luminosity down a little bit more. So I think for this specific element for the boy, 15 on color intensity, luminosity on 30, and the default 60 on the amount. Now we're going to do exactly the same with the kitten. So close the color transfer tool, back to layers panel, select the cat, then again back to the main editing toolbar, color transfer. You already know what to do. Select the reference selection, select the bunny, and give it a moment to apply. Most likely the result will be same. Yeah, again, way too dark and way too saturated. So we already know the color intensity is somewhere around 16 and the luminosity should be probably, let's see, yeah, somewhere around 30. Quick look before and after. It's a little bit subtle, but it definitely makes the difference. So this looks good. Now we can close the color transfer tool. Another thing we need to adjust or create is shadows. Basically, there needs to be a little bit shadow coming from behind the bunny and maybe some highlights on the side. and same for the cat. So we're going to be creating some shadows. It will be really easy. First, we're going to select the boy into our editing toolbar, and we're going to use the develop tool. Click on it to open it and start by bringing the exposure down. Now, don't go crazy, nothing like this. We don't want a silhouette. We want just probably somewhere around, maybe -1. Let's start with that. Now, we would like nice gradient. So darker area here and then brighter as we go towards the light source, which is somewhere around here. So to do that, inside of the masking, and we're going to use the very handy linear gradient. How does it work? Well, we're going to click and drag. So we're going to do that from this direction because this is where the shadow will start. Looking at it, just very quickly, this is where is 100% of the mask. So the pure -1 point on the exposure. This is 50% and this is 0. So there is none of that darkening or exposure at all. So we can drag it around a little bit. Now I think the gap is a little bit too strong. So what we're going to do, we're going to rotate it. You can do that simply by hovering over the middle line and then rotate it around. Now maybe that is too much. Maybe somewhere around here. Bring it down a little bit and let's go for this. Once done, we can click on the little arrow and see. Now that looks much better, right? Let's have a look. Before and after. Now, if we want, we can still go into the adjustments and we can adjust it. If you think it's too dark, then bring the slider up. Or if you want it a little bit darker, you can go even further. Actually, let's go a little darker. Let's say -1.5. So that's with the boy and the shadow. However, I would actually like to make some highlights on him to balance it. So we're going to close the develop tool and actually open it again, because here in Luminar NEO, you can apply the same tool as many times as you want. And this time we're actually going to go with the exposure up. So nothing crazy. I'm thinking probably just around, let's go 0.4. Then into the masking, and this time we're going to go for brush. With the brush and strength, we go to 40. Size, well, we can adjust that in a moment. Make sure you are on a paint, and definitely softness, keep on 100. Now, since we're painting only over the boy, we can actually very easily just click in and start to brush maybe over this area, just to make it a little bit brighter, maybe over this area as well. If the brush is too big, adjust the size. Then again, maybe over his cheek here, maybe some highlights over his hair and top of his head. Can also highlight a little bit of his shirt here and maybe also the jeans here. So just brush over that area. Now zoom out, because that's usually easier to see. If you feel like you want a little bit more on the face, you can bring the strength down, let's say to 20, and then just very gently brush over some areas on the face and maybe even on the hair. Quick look at the before and after. And again, it's a subtle difference, but it helps. Now with that, it's time to turn our attention towards the cut. So selecting the cut, we're going to do exactly the same creation for the shadows. We're going to go into develop tool, zoom in, exposure down. Now we want to go, do we want to go crazy? No, we want to go probably somewhere around, again, -1.5. Then into masking, linear gradient, and you know what to do. Start from here and just basically create, I'm thinking around here. Maybe make it a little more gradual by stretching the gradient. And once happy, little arrow back, and there you have it. If you think you want more, back to adjustments and just bring the slider down even lower. I am thinking probably around -2.5. Yeah, that looks good. Now close the tool and you know what to do. Open it again, this time up a little bit, nothing crazy, probably just around 0.2. Into the masking, in the brush, make sure that you on the paint, strength on, let's go for 25. One click and then just highlight some areas around the cut. So that is better. Close the develop tool and let's actually just very quickly come back to the cut and go into edits. Click on the discard edits and that will show you before. Once you click on the top again, it will reactivate them and show you the after. So I think that looks good. Same for the boy. Select the boy and again click on discard edits and click on the top and that will return them. Much better, much better. If we think that the shadow is a little bit too strong here, just return back to the develop tool, bring it up a little bit. Yeah, let's say around minus 2.0, and that's that. Close it and back to the tools. So now we have added our elements. We have color match both of them. We have created shadows, so created depth. And it's time to blend everything together by merging all the layers together and applying some global adjustments. Now in past, you had to do that by basically exporting the image and then bringing it back in. But now we can do it very easily by selecting the layer on the top, then holding Shift on our keyboard and selecting the layer at the bottom. And by doing that, we will select all the layers. Now we can right click on them and select Merge Layers. Now, while we're doing this, I want to just quickly remind you that this entire pack with the bunny is part of our Easter bundle, which is right now available on our website for a special price of $39. If you want to find out more about it, head to our website, cleverphotographer.com, or even better, follow the link in the description of this video to get the best possible price and to get over 630 presets, LUTs, skies, overlays, textures, and backgrounds. So if you want to get ready for the upcoming Easter season or for the spring, then definitely this bundle is a great choice. Now with that, while we mention the Easter bundle, our layers are merged. And as you notice, we have a new layer on the top. So that's our merged layer. So what we're going to do? Well, it's very simple. There are a few adjustments we can apply to blend everything together. One, we can jump straight into Essential Tools, open the Enhance AI, and actually apply a little bit of Accent AI just to balance everything together. So let's go for around 30. Again, we can close it and now go into the creative section where we can play around with other things. For example, we can open the mystical tool and add a little bit of gentle glow. So let's go for 10. After this, we can make it a little bit more cinematic by going into the film grain and applying, let's say around 10 or 15 of the grain. Or we can also open the matte tool, increase the amount and add touch of fade using the fade slider. Finally, one tool I love to use to blend everything together is the mood tool, as here we can use the LUTs to basically just color blend everything together. So we can click on Choose LUT drop-down box, and from here we can use one of the LUTs that comes with the Easter bundle, or we can go into the cinematic toning, hover over the available LUTs and see which one works the best. The Bakersfield is quite nice. Long Beach, I'm not so sure. Los Angeles, maybe. Palm Springs looks good. Riverside actually looks quite well as well. San Diego, maybe the San Diego or Santa Barbara. I'm actually going to go for Bakersfield on my own, but you can choose any. Once you choose it, you can still adjust the amount of the LUT. You can go crazy or just bring it down a little bit, and you can still adjust the contrast and maybe add a little bit of extra saturation. Finally, once finished with that, I always like to apply a little vignette to control the light. So what we're going to do, we're going to open the vignette tool, bring the amount down a little bit. So I'm thinking around -40. And then here in Luminar NEO, we can actually control the center of the vignette. So we're going to click on Choose Subject, and we're going to shift it more towards the left side where the light is coming from. If you think that you want even more vignette, you can definitely adjust it by taking the slider down. And you can also open the advanced settings and increase the inner light just to enhance the light coming from there even further. And furthermore, this is where we can use our final element by going into our layers, click on plus sign again and select the glow. Once the glow appears, you know what to do. Into layer properties, click on fit. Adjust the position of the glow so we can make it really big and position it somewhere, let's say around here. Increase the opacity to 100, change the normal mode into screen. And I know this is too strong, so we're going to adjust it maybe down to just so it's not as visible. I'm thinking around maybe 30 or 35. Once happy, close it, and there we have it. Now let's have a look. I mean, before and after will just show us the bunny, but I mean, by adding the boy, adding the cat, we have created quite cute and funny scene, which will give us a great idea on how we can create a similar scene for your own Easter postcard or Easter greeting. Anyway, folks, so this is how you use overlays, how you use layers. If you want to continue learning, we have a full tutorial on how to use overlays on our channel, as well as full tutorial on how to use the layers panel and blend modes. Now, the video tutorials should be coming up on your screen now, so don't stop here, continue learning and continue the journey towards the better and more enhanced editing skills.